Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Delanyuk, and welcome to episode 132 of the Propy weekly webinar, Countdown to Summit. We are so excited to host another summit at the Miami Convention Center coming up here tomorrow. I kind of can't believe it's tomorrow, but judging by the amount of text messages and emails I received today, you can believe it's tomorrow. It's happening. We're so excited to host so many folks tomorrow and Friday. So Thursday and Friday at the Miami Convention Center. I am so grateful to be joined by such an incredible panel of guests that are all going to be part of the summit. There is what is making the summit so incredible is just really by having so many amazing people there. So I'm excited. Can we just go around and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do briefly, and then what you're going to be doing at the summit, either Thursday or Friday? Are you moderating a panel? What's the panel? Just quick high level. Would love to hear from everyone. Laura, would you like to go first, please?
Sure. My name is Laura Pamatian. I am the founder of Height Zero Real Estate. We are an advisory firm that is working with owners, developers, syndicators to create and launch a security token offering for their real estate projects. We are also helping to tokenize existing assets, and it's just been amazing the traction that we have with the tokenization, the topic of tokenization. It's just amazing. I am thrilled to be here again. Thank you for inviting me back. We had an amazing time earlier in the year. It was just epic, and I know this one is going to be even better. I am moderating a panel, two panels. One tomorrow is on, it's a legal panel, legal and I want to say legislation. And then the other one is on why tokenization is such a hot topic. So we will get to the good stuff tomorrow, and I'm super excited to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. You are always amazing at just pushing the conversation forward. So grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you. And Elena, please, would love to hear from you.
I'm very, very excited to be here today and for the conference. Like Laura said, last year was absolutely amazing. So many incredible people, so much amazing information. So I am the Government Affairs and Land Use Council with the Downtown Development Authority of the City of Miami. We are the economic development agency for the city, and we basically provide support and incentives for companies, individuals to move to the area. We do advocacy, improving the quality of life, development, making sure that the city is growing and developing holistically. So that's kind of my side of the background. But on this panel, we're going to talk about the future of real estate and the future of the market in South Florida. And I think this is a very interesting topic now that the market is truly changing and we all don't know where it's going to go. Some people are saying like, oh my God, we're already on a downturn. Some people are saying we're just being stabilized because, there's a little less demand now because of the higher interest rates, right? But we still are very short on the inventory. And on this panel, we are going to have incredible speakers. We're going to have Melissa Medina, who is the president of Emerge Americas. So she'll provide, both her and Erick Gavin, who is the executive director of Venture Miami, they're going to provide a perspective on all of the businesses and economic development efforts that are happening right now by both private and public entities that are bringing large funds like Citadel, right? Companies that are moving their headquarters like Microsoft, that are bringing all the high net worth individuals and talent to Miami, and how that's going to help us not get as affected by recession and by increasing interest rates just because Miami is the place to be. And then we're also going to have Daniel Guerra, who is the vice president of Forge International Realty, and Dawn Pfaff, who is the president and founder of My State MLS. So they're going to talk about it from the market perspective. What are they seeing in terms of sales, in terms of listings, and where the prices are going? So it's going to be a very, very interesting panel.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we all have to make sure to be there for that. I really hope that the speakers and everyone who comes is able to come on Thursday morning, stay through the end, come to the happy hour afterwards, like we had last year at Sweet Liberty on Thursday. And then Friday, same thing, come in the morning and stay all the way through the day. Cause I'm excited to sit and learn a lot too from so many amazing people that are going to be there. So powerhouse panel you have. Thank you. That's really exciting. And last but not least, Chris Smith, you're a keynote headliner. So excited. We haven't met yet, so nice to meet you and see you in
Yes.
person soon. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thanks, Kelly. First of all, congratulations on episode 132. That's a lot. I mean, that's impressive. Most people, they do 1 or 0. So congratulations.
You're very consistent on Wednesdays. We
Yes.
are
Is
here
it
no
weekly?
matter what.
Is it every
Yeah,
week?
it's
Yeah,
every
that's
week.
great. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I did a weekly podcast for 3 or 4 straight years, and it just forces you to continue to learn and look for topics and look for guests. And that's why I was drawn to the Propy brand, because you guys are you're sort of bleeding edge and ahead of the curve, but you're that for an industry that's behind the curve. So what I'm going to be doing at the event is sort of convincing you that gap is really critical to understand between Web3, NFT, crypto enthusiasts
Mhm.
versus regular people like my mom and like normal people, let's call them, right? That aren't in the culture all in VFriends style, right? And so I specialize in marketing and sales. My book is called The Conversion Code. I also co-authored a book called Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. So I basically, traditionally am teaching people what to do in their marketing and sales to grow their business, and how to do great marketing, great sales, have great conversations, be great at follow-up. And so what I'm doing for this event, and it was Propy's idea, I want to give, credit to the company, because it's like, what we need to know, like, what do we say when we are crypto certified? What does that mean? What do I say at my next listing appointment about the fact that I do understand blockchain, and about the fact that the option of doing your home as an NFT, while a little bit new and complex and daunting, might actually be a really smart move for certain people. And you should be having conversations with them about it, but it's tricky. So I think people, if I were to ask a room full of people, hey, raise your hand if you believe this stuff's the future, every hand would go up. And then if I said, raise your hand if you've had a tough conversation trying to convince someone else about that, every hand would go up. That's what I'm going to be doing, Kelly, is I'm going to help people with the marketing and sales message for the masses, the one that actually resonates, to position you as an authority and kind of makes it clear that the fact that you are out in front of this stuff matters.
I love that. It's so funny. I think we're going to have to find a table and chat for a few minutes, because I always talk about how that's what I feel like part of my role is I am a crypto enthusiast, but I'm also a soccer mom. And I always talk about convincing my mom in Ohio, and how if we can convince her, we can help her to really understand what the value is, then we've got everybody. So how do we really get that message across in a way that that the average consumer can say, gosh, this really makes sense for all the reasons that we know that it does. So I think we kind of just answered it, but my first just question for the group is, why are these events so important? Why do we have to continue to have events in order to push these ideas forward? So I'll put it out to the group, whoever feels most compelled.
Well, I'll pick it up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, I've been to so many events. I have had a blessed speaking career for a long time now. I spoke on behalf of Realtor.com all over the country 2 to 3 times a week. I've been to every major trade show multiple times. I've been a paid keynote speaker for almost every brokerage and conference. And what I've learned in those travels is that there's nothing that can replicate being in the room, because and I don't like the idea that if I just get one idea, that I'm sort of the opposite of that. Because a lot of people say, if you just get one thing that can help your business by going, it was worth it. I think you can get a lot more than one thing. I think you get one thing per session, one thing per hour, one thing per panel, right? And what ends up happening is when you're in the room with someone, I actually heard a story about this. They said, why is it that the energy in the room changes when Bill Clinton walks in? You know, when a celebrity's in the room, how like everybody just sort of tingling, right? Like maybe the mayor's there. I don't know. Is the mayor famous in Miami? People love him, right?
Oh yeah.
So when the mayor's in the room, when Michael Arrington is in the room, when Pomp is in the room, it's different, right? I mean, it is. Gary V walks in, something happens, okay? But it's real. It's pheromones. Your body creates things that go into the world, and we're all doing it in the room at the same time because we all see a famous celebrity. Like, it's a real thing that happens when you're in the room. And so then you have that feeling, right? That, I'll call it the fanboy part of it, the sort of doing it for the gram part of it. That's fun. But then you're so excited, and then you're just a sponge, and you're learning, and you're taking notes, and you're networking. And when you're at the conference, this is at least the feeling that I get. When you're in the moment of being at the event, going to the panels, going to all the sessions that you're just mentioning, you actually start to feel like you're in the most important place you could be in the world. Like, there's nothing more important than what's happening in front of you at that event, to the point that when it's over, it's depressing, because it's like, oh my God,
oh no.
this was so great. Like, we have to wait a whole nother year. Like, how are we ever going to do an event like this again? It was magical. You don't say that about a normal work day, is my point.
Yeah, and I think that's like so spot on. I also think that it's really important for us in this sector, in this industry, to get out really accurate information, right? There's so many people out there that are going and they're searching for information in the most random places because they don't know where to look, right? But us being able to put together panels of professionals, those who are living and breathing and they're experts in this space, and having everyone come together and get accurate, good information at the same time, and then being able to follow those who presented, or, maybe gather more information after the conference, I think is a really big deal, especially for our sector, because there aren't a lot of conferences about this topic, right? Anything that has to do with blockchain and real estate, I want to say that there's not 3 conferences a year, right, that are speaking specifically to this topic. So yeah, I'm thrilled. I love that you guys do this, and I appreciate that you're doing it.
I love that.
And I think this kind of events, right, we're talking about bridging that gap between people who are totally back somewhere else and then people who are in it. These kind of events are super important, because from my perspective, right, so we have a board that is made up largely of, managing attorneys in some of the largest law firms, right, developers. And these big machines that exist, especially in a city like Miami, they're a lot of times very far removed from the tech sector, from the crypto sector, from the blockchain sector. And these kind of events, they help companies like Propy to get known, not only in the sphere where they are usually swimming in that same pool, but actually to get out there and get heard of, especially when, you really do a 2-day true conference. And I've been doing a lot of work trying to make sure that people from those sectors who are like, I don't even know what that means, but so they actually come and they learn. And when they do, they get so excited, and they bring that knowledge, even though it's limited from the first time. Once they have a spark, they spread it and bring it to the larger industry that is very archaic at the moment.
And I think when in March, when we did this last, it was the first real time that I was in a group where, post COVID, when there was a room that big with people together. So there was that extra level of excitement and energy. And so I remember those feelings of just getting people together. I get energy from being in the office. I go to a co-working space now because I just like being around people. Sometimes I work here, but most of the time I just like being around people. And so I think the energy there is really fun. So that's awesome. So specifically for prop tech, I'm curious from this group, why you think prop tech specifically is becoming so important, and so much more attention is being paid to it in the tech community and even for consumers, as just more generally. Why is it something, an industry that's getting pushed forward more so right now?
Yeah, I'll take that. Elena, you made me think of something though. You were being so nice the way you described those people that are coming that are not from the tech sector. That was so nice. But what you were kind of saying is they're from the BlackBerry sector.
Chris, you have no idea. And I've been telling this to a lot of the tech community, right? And Laura can attest to that, because I told them, look, there's an organization called ULI Miami, Urban Land Use Institute, one of the largest and most powerful organizations that truly embodies in itself the financiers of development, developers, largest architectural firms, right? Largest brokerages, all of the regulatory bodies. And I told her, I'm like, come and you will see that no one has even heard, right? And we're trying to break that barrier, because when we are building panels and I help them put together some of their events, and I'm like, let's bring some of the new blood. They're not there yet, but this kind of conference, they help bring that confidence and introduce people who are big players that they've never heard of. So for them, we're going to continue talking about resiliency and affordable housing. So this truly helps. And yes,
Yeah.
And
Well, no, and just, Kelly, your question about why prop tech is so exciting. And I'm going to give you a simple way to think about it. The way that I think about it, at least, is if you think about Web 2, Web 2, the last thing, like the last dominoes to fall when it came to retail and purchasing things on the internet, the last two things were houses and cars. Carvana and Open Door represent the pinnacle of click to buy, next day buy, same day delivery. But remember, that was books sort of only, but now it's Chewy and now it's everything. So Web 2, people are going to bring everything they learned in that experience into Web 3. So the reason that prop tech is so exciting, the reason I'm like, I want to be with Propy, I want to go with Propy, because Propy and Web 3, Web 3 is smart enough to start with those things instead. Like, because what we learned is that ultimately that's where you're going to end up. So like right now, I'm an author, I sold a book, people got a free NFT when they bought the book. And it's just kind of like back to that sort of Amazon 99. And ultimately, I believe, this is not a paid endorsement, I believe that Propy and the way things could unfold is there, open sea for houses, which would be Zillow for Web 3. Because if it requires the tokenization type of stuff that is being worked on, and then it requires all the stuff that Propy's, like, it requires things that a lot of you guys are working on, and it required a lot of things to get to that point of Open Door too, right? So I think that the reason it's so exciting to be in Web 3 and prop tech is, in many ways, it is the pinnacle. We're starting with dessert this time.
I love it. And no, that was not a paid advertisement, but I'll buy you a beer at the Sweet Liberty happy hour,
yes,
right?
Give me some pro tokens, Kelly, please. Throw me some tokens. I'll give you my wallet.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's talk about that later. I think, I just keep thinking, gosh, so much of the people that are coming, we have investors coming, we have people in real estate, we have Web3 people, we have really across the board, everybody. But gosh, if you're listening to this and you're coming, bring a friend. Who doesn't want to go to Miami Beach Convention Center for 2 days, and in the middle of all this. So bring a friend who doesn't understand it, but who's maybe a little bit interested. So I know I've sent it to so many different groups and friends that are in it, and then also friends who have nothing to do with it, just to see if there's an interest, there's a spark, and people will come and learn. The goal is education, right? The goal is community. So we'll definitely get there together, but bring a friend.
Yeah. Kelly, let me throw one other thing out there you guys made me think of, because you said, why should we come to an event like this? When you're at the early days of these events, or the good old days, these are going to be the good old days one day right now, because everybody always says, like, you should see what the first Inman was like. Right. Or, oh, you can imagine the first Inman. I used to work at Inman. I love Brad. He's a good friend of mine. The first Inman was in the woods in California around a fire. That was like Inman Connect #1, versus now 20 years in. So these are the good old days are right now. It's the early adopters. And I'll tell you one quick story. Zillow, when they came on the scene in, call it 04, 05, 06, they came on the conference scene. So they were kind of the weird new thing. They were the ones that thought they were going to change the world, right? They were the young startup that was the disruptor, and the founders were at an event. Lloyd and Rich Barton were at an event, and Alan Dalton at the time was the president of Realtor.com. This is old school stuff. And Alan Dalton ridiculed those two guys in front of the whole room. And he said, yeah, look at these guys. They're going to put a number on everybody's house. They're just going to guess what your home's worth. Well, it's appropriate. We're here in Venice Beach, where you could get your weight guessed. You could get your age guessed. And you can now, I guess, get your home guessed too. This is a circus. I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty damn close. And when you're in that room, we see these guys on the cover of the magazines. We see their net worth now. You don't see that moment when they were being ridiculed and made fun of by the industry. And I'm not saying that's happening now with Web3, but if I can't get real estate agents to get excited about social media and using Twitter and YouTube and stuff, how am I going to get them excited about some of this stuff that I think is more complex to explain? So that I think is it's not just that you're in the room, which is what I said earlier. You're in the room in the early days, which is really a powerful place to be, because you're going to then see the whole story unfold. And then you're going to be the one that speaks the most competently about where we're at and where we'll be, because you're going to have been on the whole journey. So I'm excited. I wish it was, I was going to say, I wish it was tomorrow. It is tomorrow for you guys.
It's tomorrow.
I'm Friday, but I'm like, man, I wish it was right now.
I love it. Hold your horses. One more day, day. But you can come tomorrow and join us. I'm curious to hear what everyone thinks, just the potential of Web3 is. Where is it that we're going? We're saying we're early, we're still getting there, we're still putting things together, but where are we going to go? What are your crystal ball projections for where the space is going to go?
I'll give you a few thoughts on that. And I think I was just talking to another land use attorney about it, right? Trying to explain what it all is. And he had absolutely no idea. But what I told him is, I'm like, imagine, right? So in Web3, and I think we're going to end up there. I don't think it's fully that way yet, but you could purchase a lot and you could build a house on it, right? I'm not even talking. I think the next steps will be, we're going to have zoning lawyers, we're going to have regulations, setbacks, we're going to have architects who will be designing custom properties for you that you can build on your own lot, right? And you're going to probably have regulatory bodies for a particular metaverse that will actually have those regulations on height limitations, the same things that we are dealing with today in real life, where the value of those properties, will become way more concentrated on the fact, where you are, how much you can build, what is the zoning, what's the density, can you build an apartment here? So I really truly see how the whole real estate development industry, not just sales, is going to be transferred to that as well.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we just don't even know, right? There's just so much opportunity for disruption every single day. I mean, I'm having conversations all the time, and we're at industry events all the time too, constantly learning. And it's daily, everything changes, right? Like one day, you're having this conversation about, wow, this is the, cutting edge way of doing things. And the very next week, it's something completely new and above that, right? So it's almost like, it's like, a lot of people are going to come into the space when we've already kind of cleared, 15 hurdles. And we started, like, Chris was saying at the very beginning, pioneering it and developing it. And it's such a huge opportunity. And we have the freedom to be creative, right? Well, there's so much opportunity out there that we have the opportunity to be like, well, we want to see it develop this way. We want to shape the industry, and we have the opportunity to do that. But as far as where it's going, I mean, I just see it as just, there's so much disruption that's about to come to the real estate sector.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add quickly, the word that I think is fascinating is, you hear a lot, is perpetuity. I hope I'm saying that right. And so if you apply that to an artist, in the past, they may have a gallery and sell a painting and get paid, and they would never get paid again. Now, as an NFT, they, on the secondary market, get royalties from the resale every single time in perpetuity, right? Now, musicians, same thing. If I support an artist through an NFT, and Bieber, they're all doing these things, right? So I support an artist, the NFT goes up and does well. Like I could actually financially benefit from that in theory forever. Well, in real estate, it's sort of weird because it's everybody's biggest investment. It's the most important investment. It's the way people get out of the middle class. It's the way people get into the middle class. Like, it's the way people create wealth, number one, and by far. And so when you think about that, the way it works today is you buy a house, you pay it down as much as you can, you hope it goes up in value, you sell it, and you get paid once, kind of like selling a painting once. But in a smart contract with an NFT on the blockchain with a secondary market for resale, like if you apply those things, then in theory, especially if you think about the market we just had with seller concessions being very, very, sellers could demand anything. So if I was selling my home and I said, hey, I want $1 million and 1% of any future sale of my home. So the person after the person after the person that bought my home I grew up in as a kid, that transaction got me another royalty check. To where, because as you guys know, really investing in real estate is really kind of complex. It's actually very hard and unattainable for most people. So if by investing in what people already do, buying a home, they could create passive income in perpetuity, even if it's a small amount that became kind of a standard, I think that's super exciting, to where my grandkids get a check when somebody sells my home in 2041.
Yeah. And, I would love to kind of add to that, in that we are seeing and hopefully seeing more of, right, social cause in the build of the real estate, right? Tokenization, having those that are involved in the build, those that created the home, the carpenters, the painters, those who actually put together the property and delivered. We're hoping to see more social cause in that they're paid in perpetuity, right? They're the ones that are going to benefit from the build or the sale, et cetera, because they're the ones that created it, right? Yeah. I'm not, we kind of like started with this whole idea of, a real estate agent's going to get paid in perpetuity. I mean, personally, I don't think that that's ethical. I think that there's an issue with that on a lot of levels, but I do see that someone that is going to create a property and that's going to contribute to, how it's delivered, and you think about this on a much larger scale, right? I work in pre-construction. So we think about pre-construction product takes years to build. You have issues all the time with labor. You have this opportunity to pay your labor force in equity, right? So they really want to see the success of this building. They really want to see the success, and they want to take pride because they have pride of ownership now. And there's all kinds of benefits that come out of that. And I think that that's really important, you know.
Yeah. Well, I love it. This is it. We're early. We're still figuring out exactly what it is and what makes sense and how we're all going to come together on it. So the conversation is good, and disagreement sometimes is even good, because that's how we get to the right answer. I had so many more questions, but we are out of time, so we could do it all again. So thank you
fast
for the time. It went by really fast. We have people coming in from Mongolia. We have the whole Bulgarian Propy team that will be here. So we have folks from all over the world coming in. So I hope everyone can join us. We have crypto experts, Mike Arrington and Pomp, who will be there. So they'll tell us where the space is, where it's going. We have real estate agents that are evolving from newbies who don't know what crypto really is or means, all the way through the experts. So it's going to be a really exciting few days. Come find me. I will be there. Would love to say hi. And any closing thoughts or words from the group?
Just thank you. You guys are amazing. I love what you guys are doing. Propy is just always at the forefront. You're doing things the right way. And we just appreciate being included. You know, being able to take part in an event like this is amazing.
You're the best, Laura. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much. We will see everyone soon.
Hey guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next week, same time, same place. And all of you enjoy the summit as you can, starting tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.